Customer service, done right, can be your company's single biggest competitive advantage. Welcome to the Customer Service Revolution. Join customer service authority and best-selling author John DeJulius as he interviews leaders who are revolutionizing their industries. This is more than a podcast, though. It's a movement. The Customer Service Revolution is a radical overthrow of conventional business mentality designed to transform what customers and employees experience. If you're a revolutionary customer service leader who's ready to stop competing on price and obsessed with building a brand that people cannot live without, this podcast is for you. This episode of the Customer Service Revolution podcast is sponsored by Fin.
Fin is the #1 AI agent for customer service. Fin is the highest performing agent on the market with a 65% average resolution rate. Fin is built to handle complex, multi-step queries like returns, exchanges, and disputes, delivering high-quality, personalized answers just like your best human agent. Fin is trusted by over 5,000 customer service leaders and top AI companies, including Anthropic and Synthesia. Fin works on any help desk with no migration needed, which means you don't have to overhaul your current system to get the best AI agent for customer service. Try today with our 90-day money-back guarantee. If you're not 100% satisfied with Fin, get up to $1 million back. If you are ready to transform your customer experience, find out how at Fin.ai/csrevolution. Welcome back, revolutionaries. And today I am so excited to be talking to Neen James, a friend, a colleague. Neen James is a leadership strategist, dynamic keynote speaker, and I could attest to that. Many of you probably are familiar with Neen from our Customer Service Revolution. We had Neen 1 year as a breakout speaker, and she crushed it with highest rated that I begged her to come back and MC the next year and just blew the roof off. She's the author of now 3 books, Folding Time, Attention Pays, and the upcoming book, Exceptional Experiences. Welcome, Neen. It's so great to see you.
G'day, gorgeous. And some of my best memories are being able to serve your community. We had so much fun. What you do in the world of customer service and this movement you've created, it has this ripple effect. So it's an absolute privilege to be with you today, my friend.
Thank you, Neen. And this book is awesome. Right up, what I love. And I think it's so timely. But before we get into that, tell our audience you're from Australia.
Correct.
And, how did you get here? And what was it your parenting? You have, the most vivacious energy that you give off. The way I explain you in a nutshell is I say, how a smile can be heard on the phone. Your emails, I can see, at least you have me convinced in an email how excited you are to hear from me. And I know, that's a gift that you make everyone feel like that. So special.
Thank you for saying that. I think that's what I really want. That's been the whole through line of my body of work. And you and I are so similar in this regard that I've always believed that the most important thing is to help people feel seen and heard. And I know that's the philosophy of everything that you and Denise talk about it on the podcast as well. And so for me, I think what was really fascinating is I was raised by a single mom in Australia, right? So I have quite a humble beginning, and my mom would clean houses. She would pick fruit. She sold lettuce on the side of the road. Like, no matter how tired my mom was, at the end of a busy shift, she would always walk through a community garden and she would pick a flower and she would bring it home to our caravan. In America, they call that a trailer park. But she would put it in a glass, and we called it a vase because we felt so fancy, right? But my mom reminded me as a little girl that no matter what, no matter about money or things, that everybody deserved luxury. Everybody deserved to feel special. And I think having that role modeled from such a young age, it is all of the work that I've done in my Attention Pays book and now with Exceptional Experiences. And I've chosen a career of service where we can really elevate that client experience. And you and I are so aligned with the way that we focus on giving undivided attention. You've taught the boys from such a young age and all your clients your Ford method, like the way that we can be curious about other people so they feel seen and heard. That's definitely my background. Now, as an Australian, the advantage of that is I definitely have a very global perspective, but I became an American citizen as well, so that I have a local perspective. Now, I'm the oldest of 5. I sound like I'm 5, but all of these experiences, I think, is what's been so fun about creating this new book, because I've always believed in this idea that, John, I think luxury is a mindset. And when you grow up, when you don't come from that, it's been really interesting to be able to have research done. I have the only proprietary research study of its kind in the world on luxury as a mindset. So this little girl from a caravan or a trailer, if you are American listening to this, and to stand on stages around the world and talk to these, CEOs of luxury and legacy brands, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
It's so cool. And what a interesting background. And credit to your mom, right? I mean, that's awesome.
Mhm.
She raised 5 kids.
5 of us, right? There's only one guy, poor Jamie. But I think what's also interesting is your family dynamic. You get role modeled around ideas of how to treat other people and how to be curious. And, mom, even as a single mom, she always was like the hostess with the mostest, John. Like my mom was the person that even with no food in the house, somehow she would bake something if someone came over. And so hospitality, I've always thought hospitality is like a system of care. And because of the role modeling of my mom, I love having people in my home. Like having guests in my home, I take all the best practices I learned from my hotelier clients from around the world, and I want to apply that. So when someone comes into my home, that's a chance for me to show them, hey, I care so much about you. Same as leaders do when they bring team members in to their boardroom or when they're in their offices or in their one-on-ones, that opportunity to elevate that experience. I love it.
And everything you're talking about, and in your book, your new book, Exceptional Service, Exceptional Experiences, 5 luxury levers to elevate every aspect of your business, which will be dropping next week. And we're going to put all the links where you can get them, get the book. But, I love what you talk. There's so many things you just talked about that I want to revisit. But I love what you just said. We need to be providing an exceptional experience when we're interviewing someone, right? When we're onboarding, not just to our clients that we're hoping to get a 6-figure contract from. I also believe it's I think it's an ecosystem, right? I think it should be to our vendors instead of just beating them up, trying to get them, to the lowest price. And listen, we're all budget conscious, but we all hit hard times. And we need our vendors to be there for us during those hard times. And if you just milk them for every opportunity you could, they're not going to be there for you. And so that's so important.
Yeah, John, one of the things we talk about in the book is how do you take relationships from transactional to transformational? And those relationships we have with our business partners are vital because those business partners are helping us achieve success. We also talk about it in relation to team members. The team members that you have are delivering that client experience for you. So we need to take really good, exceptional care of them. Too often brands are focusing on the client and they're forgetting about those really unique relationships that help transform that experience. I think about this with my hoteliers. If you think about a beautiful luxury hotel, when you walk into the front lobby, everything is exquisite. So front of house is exquisite. It's the hoteliers who pay as much attention to detail to the back of house for their team that have the greatest success. And so as leaders, we can think of front of house and back of house. What are those impressions we're giving our clients? And back of house? What's all the training and the investment that we're making in our team, in our relationships, in our vendors, as you say? And so we talk about that quite a bit in the book. But these 5 luxury levers, what they're designed to do is
that's levers for us Americans. Wait, I'm sorry. I should know this. Where in Australia did you grow up?
So in a really, really tiny little town no one would have heard of, but I always say Sydney is home. So
Okay.
it's a town that had gosh, I think it might have had 1 traffic light when I was a little.
Awesome.
So yeah, but I always say Sydney is home. Most people know where Sydney is.
Yeah. Sydney. To me, Sydney felt like a U.S. city. I hope that's not an insult, but it was fabulous, like a Chicago. I mean, just vibrant. I was actually, truth be told, disappointed because when I'm flying over the first time, I'm expecting the Outback, and Sydney's not that. I got to then go to the Gold Coast and Perth and see a little bit more how movies depict it. But I felt like I just landed in Chicago or New York in a good way, but it wasn't the Australia that was commercialized to. I'm sorry. Let's go back to the 5 levers. And I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. I was just thinking, if you think about being able to do 2 things, what the book will help, it's a framework.
And who's it for?
It's really for people who are responsible for revenue in their business. So whether that is you're a leader in your company, whether you are an entrepreneur, but the way that it is, think about, if you've read Will Guidara's book, Unreasonable Hospitality, I think, and I was talking to Will about this the other night, it is like a love letter to the hospitality industry.
Yes.
If you love that book, what you'll love about my book, it's the framework, the playbook on how to execute that. Because these 5 luxury levers, to use your pronunciation, what they're going to do is be able to help you be top of mind, to capture the attention of potential and existing clients, all the way through to be able to be top of market so you can drive revenue. So I always think of it as like mind share, market share. How do you not only capture the attention of clients you want to work with, or in your case, what you were saying before, team members you want to onboard, all the way through to be able to have them as advocates for your brand and your business. Because if you think of advocates, John, you have so many for the work that you do at the Julius Group, but advocates are almost like your unpaid marketing sales team. They're out there telling the world about how great you are. These 5 luxury levers, based on all of the work I do with luxury and legacy brands, is the framework of how you put in what I call systems of elevation. All of the systems we need to be able to ensure that all of our clients, our team, the community in which we serve, feel seen and heard and valued. And I learned so many of these lessons that I got to practice with all the consulting I do with luxury brands. And if someone makes you feel amazing, it's some of the luxury brands.
I love that. And, what I got from reading your book is, correct me if I'm wrong, 2 things. It's not a B2C only book, business to consumer. B2B, I mean, this is what we should be doing, with our clients, with our, if you're in sales, if you're an account executive,
Right.
Manufacturing, you can
Yes.
do this. And
There were so many examples we use, John, whether it is hospitals I work with, manufacturing firms I've served, definitely luxury hospitality, but the book is designed to have a diversity of examples because I believe luxury is inclusive and exclusive. See, I think luxury is for everyone every day. We all deserve that investment because you're worth it, right? Think about, Taylor Swift was talking about this just recently, that luxury of your attention. Like, we need to make sure we're also investing in the right people that deserve that and that we know we're worth it. But it's not just about that. What I also believe is luxury is inclusive for everyone, but it's exclusive in that we can give that red carpet experience to everyone, to our team, to our clients, to our business partners, to our family, the community in which we serve. And so the book, while it definitely uses some of my lessons of being in luxury, it is for everybody every day. And if you are in sales or if you're responsible for the customer experience or the client experience, this is the kind of reading you need because there's so many systems of elevation. Not always, they don't have to actually require a lot of money either. Some of them are no-cost strategies we can all do.
And the other thing that I got from reading the book is it's not just for the high-end business model, right? You could be a medium tier, lower tier. And like you said, a lot of your ideas are no cost.
Correct.
And so
Yes.
you don't have to be
Digital AI world, John, people crave the human connection.
more than ever, and it's more vital today than ever because we have
Right.
1/20th the human
Mhm.
interaction we had 20 years ago.
Mhm.
So, if I go out today, if I decide to, not order online and not Uber Eats or whatever, and I actually go out, that human interaction with that hostess, with the cashier, with,
Yeah.
the person on support is more critical than it ever was because this might be the only one or two I get today outside of my family.
Let's take a quick break here, John, to introduce our listeners to Fin, the #1 AI agent for customer service. We're talking about the highest performing AI agent on the market with a 65% average resolution rate, offering higher quality answers and resolving even the most complex customer queries. Fin is built to handle complex, multi-step queries like returns, exchanges, and disputes with high-quality, personalized answers just like your best human agent. Fin outperforms every competitor. That's why it's used by over 5,000 customer service leaders. Top AI companies, including Anthropic and Synthesia, trust Fin's system for continuous improvement. And because Fin works with any help desk, no migration needed, you don't have to overhaul your current system to get the best AI agent for customer service. Try Fin today with their 90-day money-back guarantee. If you're not 100% satisfied with Fin, get up to $1 million back. Get the #1 AI agent today. Learn more at Fin.ai/csrevolution. That's Fin.ai/csrevolution. Don't worry if you didn't get that written down. You can find the link to Fin.ai in our show notes. Now back to the show.
Yeah. It was interesting. One of my clients is Virtuoso Travel, and Matthew's the CEO, Matthew Upchurch. He and I were chatting about this recently at Virtuoso Travel Week, and he's interviewed for the book. He's featured in the book. And one of the things that he loves to say is that we need to humanize the exceptional. And I believe that. I think for us to stand out as leaders, we need to humanize the exceptional. Now, obviously, I am very biased because I believe in exceptional experiences, but I believe in them for everyone, John. One of the things that I said to you was when I was little, I believe that like luxury is a mindset, right? And because what I found to be true is when you think that you are worth it, you can deliver that amazing experience for others. Now, when I consult to luxury CEOs and their legacy brand CEOs, I thought everyone knew luxury was a mindset. And so I just Googled it. I was like, well, luxury is a mindset. Surely there's a research study on that, right? Well, there's not. There's plenty of research on how luxury makes people feel, but there was nothing about how people think about luxury. And so because there was no research study on luxury as a mindset, I commissioned my own. And so I went out to a research firm and I said, hey, luxury is a mindset. And the owner, Susan Bayer of Audience Audit, said, research doesn't work like that. What was interesting was she came back, John, and she said this. There's not one luxury mindset, there's 4. And what we learned is when you want to truly grow your business, when you want to impact the way that you communicate, what we need to do is speak the luxury language of the clients you want to attract. Because people think about luxury differently, because luxury as a word can be quite divisive. People think, oh, it's all about expensive things. But in actual fact, it is a mindset. We understand now how luxury affects your confidence, professional development, how long it takes you to make a decision, who impacts your decision. This research study was very comprehensive. But no matter how people thought about luxury, John, there were 2 things that came up in the study that every listener for your podcast can relate to, and that is this. Luxury is a reward for hard work, whatever your luxury is. And the thing that I love the most is the research study confirmed. Everybody agreed. Luxury is about experiences, not things. And you and I are so aligned on that because we believe in curiosity and attention and making people feel seen and heard. So I love that it confirmed for me that luxury is about experiences, not things. And how we show up as leaders, that's the experience other people have of you. So I want that to be a luxury experience.
Yeah, I was so guilty of that earlier in my career as a leader. Back when it was, my job was running the salons 25 years ago or maybe more. I, drive to one of our locations and I was probably cutting it close for a conference call, I had to get, and so I, run through the salon, get to a back office, get on the call, clean up email. And my wife would come in and she's like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Everyone says you're in a bad mood." And, the first couple of times I'm like, "Well, screw everyone. I'm in a great mood. I just had to get back to the office and get shit done." Well, then, the next week, same, next time I came in, and, when everyone's wrong, but me, there's a sign there that I'm the one that's wrong, and perception's reality, right? And if I walk in with my head down and you're an employee and you're like, "Oh, there's John," and you go to wave and I don't even see you, right?
Mhm.
I'm in a good mood, but
Right.
if 10 out of 10 people think, "Ooh, John's in a bad mood," or he didn't have the decency to make eye contact and say, "Good morning, Neen, and thanks for," and that's it. And God, I'm writing down so many great things. You keep on bringing up, and I love this. And I have it in my hopper for a blog, so you're going to help me with it right here. Everyone's using make people feel seen and heard, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But it's become almost a platitude, like, customer first, deliver,
Right.
all these things. Let's make it tactical.
Mhm.
How does one person in a 90-second interaction or a 30-minute meeting, how does one make the other person, employee, stranger in an elevator? I know you're a master at this. A client, actually, what's a tactical that I can measure and say, "Neen, you totally made that person feel seen and heard," if I'm watching on a video, or Neen, not so much. What would you have a thing? I know you talk about this.
Listen with your eyes.
I love that. I love that. Donovan taught you that.
Yes, you're amazing. So for those of you
Yeah.
listening, I was in a very heated debate with my little friend who's 5, and we would debate. If you've ever debated with a 5-year-old, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But he didn't think I was listening to him, John. He got so mad at me. He jumped in my lap. He grabbed my face in his tiny little hands. He turned it towards him and he said this, "Nee, listen with your eyes." And he reminded me, John, we don't just listen with our ears. We listen with our eyes. We listen with our heart. We listen with our soul. And what I challenge everyone listening to this is to start listening with your eyes. Because when you give someone the gift of your undivided attention, you put your devices away, you get away from the distraction, you step away from the screen, you close your laptop, and you give someone that gift. Now, if we want to really elevate the human connection, people need to
I love that. And you
and
taught me that, and I actually use it in my presentation, insatiable curiosity and listening with your eyes. And I used to do a trick when someone would come up, an employee would come into my office and say, "John, do you have 5 minutes?" I'm like, "Sure, sit down." I'd close my laptop, and then I'd do something counterintuitive. If my cell phone was in my sport jacket or in my drawer, I would take it out, which is like, I'd say, "Hold on, Neen," and I'd shut it off. Or I'd pretend I shut it out, right? But then I'm like, "Neen, what do you got?" And you're like, "Wow, like there's something good." Yeah, I say, when you're listening to someone and you're so engaged that someone could blow a firecracker off and you wouldn't hear it, because and you're like, "Did you hear that? Hear what?" Right? I'm, it's about
And
you
it
right now.
costs nothing. It costs
Yeah.
nothing to give people the gift of your undivided attention. When I think about, I had the privilege of interviewing Uwe Amler, who is the co-founder of the Ritz, as we know. And one of the things that the Ritz is famous for is they've empowered their team members to have a budget of up to $2,000 that if they hear something that a guest says, they can then execute on that and surprise them. They're all about surprise and delight. And so one of the things he and I were talking about is it's not just about making people feel seen and heard. I take it a step further in the book. It's make them feel seen, heard, and valued. And that's what's really important. We want people to feel that they are valuable to us, our business, our community, our church, our temple, but make people feel valued as well. And you have such diversity in the team that you serve, the clientele that you serve. It's our responsibility to ensure that we make sure that we stand in service of those people in the most exceptional way. And that does require us all to take a step back, to listen with our eyes, but make people feel seen, heard, and valued. And I think that's important.
I'm working with Joseph Beth booksellers.
Mm-hmm.
And working with them, and it was really interesting because this is kind of what got me on the whole what's the tactical definition of feel, seen, and heard. And their CEO Adam Miller talked about, if someone comes up to them, they're in a lot of hospitals,
Sure.
right?
Oh, wow.
And so they'll say, you don't want to say how you doing because you might not be doing well. And their customer base is probably family members visiting, right?
Correct.
And
Sure.
so,
Yep.
that's a open-ended question that you might not like the result, right? So they'll say, who you visiting?
Nice.
Not necessarily why, but I'm visiting my mom. I'm visiting, my daughter. And then, but what he talked about, which I really liked, is, like a Starbucks where you grab the product and you start scanning it, and maybe, you say, how you doing? But you're scanning it, right? And that's really not feeling seen and heard. That's what you're supposed to say. And the way he talked about, which I love, is when you walk up the counter, who you here to see? Oh, great. And, how are you? And pause. 1 second pause, get and then pick up the thing. And we're not extending the interaction from 90 seconds to 5 minutes. There's not a longer wait time as a result, but just to make I love that top on you, right? Really, I mean, that's a beautiful color on you, and it accent, just those little things. And what your book, reminded me of is what I call the Daymaker dopamine.
Yes. I love this concept that you talk about.
Yeah. And that,
Yes.
when you work in any of these companies that encourage their employees to, do these things. And again, being a Daymaker does not have to cost anything.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
It's little things. And who feels the best? Yeah. Yes. The guest, client, customer, whatever we call them, feels good. But when you go home and you left an impact on someone, you feel
Right.
the best.
Yeah. And I talk about this in the book, but the way I talk about it is slightly different. And that is, I believe we can all have champagne moments. And a champagne moment is taking something ordinary and making it extraordinary. And something that brings you joy, makes you smile. It might be drinking your coffee out of a fabulous coffee cup because you're worth it. That might be a champagne moment. It might be taking a little longer to spend time and play with your puppy. That's a champagne moment. So what we're encouraging people at the end of every chapter, there are specific champagne moments we encourage people to think about. And people are tagging me now, #champagne moments. And I love that. So if you're listening to this, tag me, Neen James, but also #champagne moments, something that brings you joy, something that makes you smile. It doesn't, remember, have to be expensive. Luxury is about experiences, not things. And so as we go through our day, John, if we look for these champagne moments, we are more likely to get that Dreammaker dopamine that you're talking about because we're actively looking for those opportunities to make people smile. I always think, we all know I love champagne, but I think about the joy that a glass of champagne gives me, all those little bubbles representing all those joy bubbles, those things that we can do to bring that delight to other people. And for those of us who are serving in a customer service or a client relation role, that is a part of our role, is to bring that. I have hospital clients. One, we've just done this transformation project, and we focus specifically on the ED department because the people there are at their most stressed, most anxious self in the emergency department. And what are those sort of champagne moments we can bring for those few moments, to your point? And so I think we can all have champagne moments every day.
We're talking to Neen James, best-selling author of the new book, Exceptional Experiences, 5 Luxury Levers to Elevate Every Aspect of Your Business. Neen, this is great. I want to, get into more specifics. Listen, like you, I've read every book out there, especially on customer experience. And, I can't believe how much I highlighted, how much you've taught me. The really cool thing is because I know you and I know you're not making this up or grabbing it off ChatGPT. And I mean, you live this and your clients benefit from this. So do we want to mention the 5 luxury levers?
Sure, I'd
Okay.
love to give people
Tell
a
me,
high-level overview. So imagine a triangle if you're listening to this. What I want you to think about is at the bottom of the triangle, we have mind share, being able to be top of mind. At the top of the triangle, we have market share, being top of market. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to think about a
Where
frame.
does heart share fall?
Oh, I think heart share is over the whole thing.
You
Because
get it. You get it. The heart. Yeah.
absolutely, 100%. The first of, when you think about the luxury levers, what I want people to think about is we have to be able to capture someone's attention, which is enticing them to want to work with you. We can do that through great storytelling, through creative collaborations. And then the next level up is to invite. We want them to feel a sense of belonging to you and the community that you are part of. And people need to start to see your expertise as we move through. So we go from entice, invite, and then we get up. And I think what I love about this is then we get to excite these people. We get to do things that are share worthy. We get to leverage the 5 senses. And then what we're thinking about is then how do you truly delight everybody so that they want to be able to tell others about you, which is where we get to ignite. Ignite is where we are starting to have these people, we capture their attention all the way through to the fact that we then got them to be advocates. So it's doing everything from capturing the attention all the way through to being able to create advocates in your business. Because a lot
Brand evangelists.
Absolutely. Because think about those brand evangelists for you, John. Those people are out there telling the world about what they love. And there's so many systems of elevation in the book for each of the 5 luxury levers that all of the listeners can apply. And what you can think about is they are often things that you can just elevate in the business you have. And so what I want people to think about, whether you are an entrepreneur, whether you have a salon, whether you are someone who's running a multi-million-dollar company, there's so many strategies in here that you and your team can apply. What I'm finding is leaders are buying it for their entire organization because they're creating this framework and they're asking themselves, okay, how do we roll out the red carpet for our clients? How do we elevate it? How do we systemize thoughtfulness? So all the strategies we have in the book, everyone can apply.
It's very actionable, very detailed. NeenJames.com, Neen, NeenJames, NeenJames.com. And all this will be in the show notes. You can get the book there. You can find out more about Neen's services. She is a fabulous, amazing, top-rated keynote speaker and consultant. Follow Neen James on all the social media, LinkedIn, Instagram. What else you on? You on YouTube?
Yeah, I am. YouTube, Instagram. Instagram I play every day. So you can follow my adventures there and make sure you hashtag champagne moments, and LinkedIn. Please reach out to me on LinkedIn if I can help as well.
Yes. Neen, what do you want to leave our listeners with? And listen, I would just want to tell our listeners, you got to get the book. This is one of the best interviews I've ever done. No credit to me, but you are an ATM machine just in this little bit more than half an hour of ideas. And I don't think that hits 1% of what the book gives. Like, as great as you are, this conversation isn't doing the book justice. This isn't just platitudes this is actionable things that any business can do. I love it. Exceptional Experiences by Neen James. What do you want to leave our audience with?
I want to remind our audience that they are worth it, that you deserve the champagne moments. Luxury is a mindset. And if you can remember luxury is about experiences, not things, and you can combine that with the ability to listen with your eyes, you will provide an exceptional experience for everyone that you have the privilege of standing in service of.
Thank you, Neen. Thank you for the person you are. I truly mean this. We've I feel like we're old friends. I'd like to think we are, but we've only just the way you make people feel. You remember my boys. You ask about them. You made a big impact on them, and everyone. Reese, who I think did your hair in the back studio.
Gosh, she was such a love. Oh
yeah,
my God.
I mean, they everyone you come in contact with, you leave a lasting impression. And as you know, we don't know how important that is to some people. We think a smile, a nod, taking a few extra seconds with someone, and you just don't know what they're going through and what that could do. Something I like to say is if you want to make price irrelevant, focus on putting the bounce in people's step, right? And if I could make you walk a little taller, have that bounce? Are you more likely to leave our interaction and maybe you're going on a sales call? Maybe you're going on an interview. Maybe it's a first date. And my thing with this is there's a myth that it's totally about what your book talks about and what you talk about. There's a myth that people that are more successful have higher self-esteem. I don't believe that. I think people with higher self-esteem become more successful.
Great reframe.
And that's what your book really, teaches, is how to put that luxury experience is putting a bounce in people's step that they're not getting anywhere else.
Thank you, John. That's so kind of you to say that.
Thank you, Neen. All right, Revolutioners, we'll be right back after this.
Want to improve your company culture and become the brand your employees and customers can't live without? Email Claudia at thedejuliusgroup.com to find out about consulting, executive and online training, and other resources we can offer you. You can also schedule a call with Claudia by going to tdg.click/Claudia. Thanks for listening in to this episode of the Customer Service Revolution podcast. I'm Denise Thompson, managing partner of the DeJulius Group, and I invite you to send us your questions, post a review, and let us know what you liked and want to hear more of. We're happy that you're part of the Customer Service Revolution and encourage you to subscribe now so you don't miss an episode. You'll find us on Spotify, iTunes, or your favorite podcast station.